Hey, how's it going guys? My name is Ray and welcome to my channel. This is the place for us home cooks to learn and improve together to better our everyday cooking. So that's why in this channel I'm going to share with you my weekly favorite recipes. And if you're into that, maybe consider subscribing so that you will know when a video is out. So having said that, today we're gonna be talking more about eggs. For the last 2 weeks I've been discussing a lot about eggs, but this week we're going extra special. We're gonna be diving deep into a really special way of cooking eggs from Japan, onsen eggs. Based on Wikipedia definition, onsen eggs are supposed to be cooked at 70 degrees Celsius for about 30 to 40 minutes, resulting in a really soft boiled egg where the white is equally as custardy as the yolk. It's like when poached egg and soft boiled egg have a kid. It's just a really amazing way of eating eggs, guys. But the problem is there are so many recipes out there that gives you different ways of cooking this egg. And that's why in this video, rather than sharing you just the recipe that I believe in, I would show you exactly what each of those recipes that I can find online would give you. And that's why I'm gonna talk a lot in this video, because this video is not gonna be a normal recipe video. It's gonna be an experiment video where I show you step by step how I get to my recipe. Let's cook. Okay, so first things first, there are two ways that I'm gonna attempt today. One is gonna be in a pot and the other is gonna be using rice cooker. If you're gonna do it in a pot, you'll need a thermometer for sure, because this type of egg is really temperature sensitive. And you have to make sure that you have a thick bottom pot like this with a lid, because you'll need to be able to sustain the heat in the pot for a longer period of time. And also it's worth mentioning that every egg I'm using in this experiment is gonna be at room temperature so that the temperature of the water doesn't fluctuate too much when I drop in the egg. So this first attempt is gonna be based on one of the videos I saw. It's a documentary video of an onsen in Japan where they cook the egg in onsen at 80 degrees Celsius for about 12 minutes and then they drop it to an onsen at 50 degrees Celsius for a further 2 hours. So in order to recreate somewhat similar environment, I want to start my pot of water at around 80 degrees Celsius and let the temperature drop slowly and naturally. So what I did here is just bring a pot of water to the boil, measure the temperature with a thermometer, and adjust it by adding some cold water until you get 80 degrees Celsius water. Then I added in 2 eggs, put the lid on, and waited for about 20 minutes before checking back in with the eggs. But as you can see, even after 20 minutes, the heat only went as low as 65 degrees Celsius, resulting in an overcooked onsen egg that is basically just soft-boiled eggs. And by the way, it's also worth mentioning that the freshness of the eggs really matter here, because as you can see in this first attempt, I'm using a 1-week-old egg and the white part just doesn't shape up at all. It's just gonna be a very loose mass. But if you see the snippet of my intro, the white should hold properly even if it's still in a custardy stage if you're using fresh eggs. Okay, so second method. I found a video of someone using rice cooker and they're cooking their eggs in rice cooker for about 1 hour. So I got curious about this and I did another Google search. Turns out the rice cooker keep warm method holds the temperature at above 60 degrees Celsius at all time for food safety purposes. So theoretically this method should work, right? So for the sake of this experiment, I'm still going to use a thermometer just to give you guys a reference point. So another point to keep in mind here is that no matter which method you use, it is important to keep the eggs submerged so they cook evenly. Here I set the temperature quite low, about 73 degrees to start with, and then I made sure I set my rice cooker on the keep warm setting and set a timer for 1 hour. After 1 hour, I checked the water temperature again just to see how much the temperature drops using this method. Then just like any other methods, you need to take the egg out of the hot water and into a bowl of cold water to stop the cooking process. So yeah, here as you can see, it seems that my rice cooker is holding the temperature at 70 degrees range. It's hotter than what Google said it should be, making the 1 hour cooking time is just way too long, resulting in another failed attempt. But at least this one looks and tastes better, but it's just not the onsen egg that we know and love, right? This one, however, is really passable as a good breakfast too. The white is still a little bit custardy and the yolk is very creamy and silky. But as far as onsen egg goes, this is still a fail. And then I was reminded about this second method of onsen egg that I found online as well, which uses 70 degrees running water for 8 minutes. So I thought this would be perfect for my rice cooker because apparently my rice cooker holds the temperature at 70 degrees. So that's exactly what I ended up doing. I put 2 more eggs into the rice cooker with the same water level and same temperature, and I set timer for 8 minutes. Then after the 8 minutes mark, I removed the eggs from hot water and into a bowl of cold water just like before. But turns out the 70 degrees that you saw earlier was a fluke. So turns out my rice cooker actually holds a temperature between 65 and 70 degrees Celsius, and 70 degrees just happened to be the highest point possible. So this egg is basically just undercooked, although the yolk is already custardy. So here I'm putting the second egg back into the rice cooker for a further 10 minutes, making a total of 18 minutes at the 65 to 70 degrees range. So while waiting for that, I got started on the last method that I want to try today, which is actually the most popular method online. So many people recommended this method, but I think this method is very unreliable because there are a lot of variables that you cannot control using this method. So what this method suggests is to heat up 1 liter of water, then adding 1 cup of cold water to that and keeping the eggs in there for about 18 minutes. And to keep this experiment consistent, I locked the temperature as well to see what temperature range this method would produce. But turns out this is even worse. The temperature is way too high, the timing is way too long, resulting in these overcooked eggs. It doesn't even want to come out from the shell. I mean, it still makes a really good soft-boiled egg, so if you're into that, by all means, but that's not what we are here for, right? So if you see this method online, please just don't try it, guys. It's not worth it. There are so much variables that you cannot control here, such as the starting water temperature and also the temperature fluctuation during the waiting time. There are just so many things they don't consider here. So now the 18 minutes rice cooker egg is done. Let's check it out, guys. To my surprise, the rice cooker temperature kinda stabilized now, so it stayed around 65 to 66 degrees Celsius. And yes, finally, I got the perfect onsen egg. The yolk and white are equally custardy, they hold the shape but still very soft. It's just perfection, guys. Now let me give this a try. As you can see, the white is still very custardy and the yolk is still very runny. This would make a perfect breakfast or a perfect topping for a rice bowl. Seriously, guys. And I've also tested this method a couple of times afterward just to make sure that it's consistent, and it was, guys. So you can definitely try this out if you have a rice cooker, because I can assure you this works every single time. Because here we're relying on the industry spec for a rice cooker, right? So there's not much wiggle room here. Also, if you're using this rice cooker method, I would suggest you wait for half an hour first, because as you can see in my previous experiments, the rice cooker temperature fluctuated a lot during the first batch compared to the second batch. So now the question is, if you don't have a rice cooker but you have a reliable thermometer on hand, how do we recreate that? Now this would sound ridiculous for Asian viewers out there, but trust me, there are a lot of people out there with no rice cooker on hand but owns a really fancy thermometer. So that's why I'm giving you guys this method, so that no matter if you're on the pro rice cooker side or not, you can still make a cracking onsen egg. Get it? Oh man, I tried so hard not to make egg puns in this video, it kinda scrambled my brain right now. Oh, there it is again. I just can't stop right now. So anyhow, to recreate the same result using only a pot and a thermometer, the rule is really simple. You need to keep your water temperature at around 65 to 70 degrees Celsius and only cook your eggs for 18 minutes. So first thing you need to do is figure out how much the water temperature drops in your particular pan when you added the eggs in, because this range will be very different between one pan to another. So based on what you've already seen, the water temperature in my pan drops around 10 degrees Celsius over the first 15 minutes. So that's why I'm starting my water temperature at 70 degrees Celsius this time, so that it would drop to around the 65 to 70 degrees Celsius range by the end of it. Then we need to set the timer for 18 minutes. And don't forget to check the temperature halfway through just to make sure it doesn't drop below 65 degrees, and if it does, simply put the water back on heat until it reaches above 65 degrees again, then move it back to the table and continue the cooking process for whatever time's left. And as usual, don't forget to move them into a bowl of cold water as soon as they're done cooking. And voila! As long as you follow these simple guidelines, you'll get perfect onsen egg every single time. And look at that, guys. It's exactly the same result as the one using rice cooker. I mean, I would still pick the rice cooker method every single time because it's just much easier, you don't have to keep track of the temperature and stuff. But this is just to prove a point that it's very possible to create this by just using a pot and a thermometer. And the reason I really like onsen eggs is because it's really handy. You can stock up on these eggs, you can pre-cook everything and leave it in the fridge for up to 3 to 4 days. And to heat it up, you simply have to submerge it in water, and preferably no hotter than 70 degrees. It's safest to keep it around 50 degrees, so even if you forget about it, the egg doesn't overcook. But yeah, ideally you should be able to touch the water without getting burned. And the most traditional way to serve it is basically just with a simple sauce made out of soy sauce, mirin, and dashi. As usual, I'm gonna put the complete recipe in the description box below. But yeah, basically it's just that plus the egg, and probably top it with spring onion, or in my case I'm using garlic chives here, and also some Togarashi or chili flakes. And that is it, guys. A super simple breakfast that is super tasty and super satisfying and take no time at all to prepare. And not only that, guys, you can also use this onsen egg to top your favorite noodle dish, whether it be a fancy ramen or a simple instant noodle like this. It will surely elevate your dish. It will add so much creaminess and so much body to your dish. Oh, and as you can see, I cracked it into a bowl first before adding it to my noodles because I don't want all that watery stuff on my noodles. That is just a simple bonus tip from me. But yeah, can you really say that this doesn't look good? I mean, seriously? Noodles with egg like this is what you call perfection, guys. And if you want to serve it in a way that highlights the egg, do a rice bowl. I'm gonna show you how to make a super simple rice bowl using my homemade bacon recipe. I'm gonna put the link here in case you want to check it out. But yeah, all you have to do is fry up some bacon, preferably thick cut like this, add it onto a bowl of rice. I like to top it with some kimchi to cut through all that fattiness. And finally, top it with the egg. It is basically a super simple yet a bit fancy bacon and egg dish. Imagine having a lunch like this in less than 5 minutes. As long as you already have the bacon and you already pre-cooked the eggs during the weekend, you can have this as your midweek lunch. How good is that, guys? But yeah, that's basically it for this week's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button. And if you did like this video, please leave a thumbs up below and share this video. It will help me a lot. And see you next week, guys. Cheers!